Good evening, everyone. If you don't know, you should know. My name is Rameez and I am a filmmaker and a film critic. And today's film is a very special film and another David Fincher film. This film is called Zodiac.
This is the Zodiac speaking.
I've begun.
I can give you a lift to the service station.
Do you always go around helping people in the night?
I'm not the Zodiac. And if I was, I certainly wouldn't tell you.
Are you sure there's nobody else in the house?
It's a sad fact that so many people have not seen this film, and the people who have don't like this film. And I think I have an idea as to why people don't like this film. This film is, of course, based off the real story and the real detective cases and murder cases of the Zodiac Killer. The Zodiac Killer cases were never solved. This movie follows that religiously. We do not see the identity of the Zodiac Killer. We don't know who he is by the end of the film. And that is the main drawback of this film to the average movie-going audience. We as humans warrant a reaction, an answer. And this is a detective story. We watch detective stories for the case to be solved. Since the case never got solved, a lot of people hated this film. But that's completely wrong that this film doesn't give an answer. Another reason that this film failed was because this is not a serial killer film. This is a film following our protagonists. This is a film about obsessions and addictions and what this terrorizing figure of the Zodiac Killer did to all our protagonists. And this boasts a wonderful cast of Robert Downey Jr., Jake Gyllenhaal, and Mark Ruffalo as our leads. We get to see what they lose throughout the running time of this film. And it does give us an answer by the end of the film. And that answer is no answer. Sometimes things just don't get solved, like real life. Not everything warrants an answer. Not everything will ever be solved. This is a very, very long film. 2 hours and 45 minutes if you're watching the director's cut, 2 hours and 37 minutes if you're watching the theatrical cut. But with that long running time, the film never manages to be boring. And that's because of David Fincher, man. This guy, again, as I said in my Fight Club review, this guy is meticulous when it comes to storytelling. He never misses an opportunity. One of my favorite scenes is in the very beginning as to how we're introduced to our main character of Jake Gyllenhaal. He gets up off of his desk and he pulls out a big-ass book about the Zodiac's message. While he's gone, Robert Downey Jr. and another colleague of the newspaper are conversing and they're saying, "Hey, who is this guy?" And Robert Downey Jr. tells us everything about him. He's like, oh, he doesn't drink, he's a Boy Scout, he doesn't do drugs, doesn't smoke, nothing. And as soon as Jake Gyllenhaal comes back to the desk, he starts advancing the plot. Very, very efficient stuff, and it's so minor. And credit must be given to James Vanderbilt for his excellent script with the help of Robert Graysmith, the writer who Jake Gyllenhaal is portraying. Robert Graysmith is our main focal point of this film, but it can be said that there are three protagonists in this film. Graysmith and Paul Avery are newspaper reporters, and Dave Toschi is a cop. It uses both those worlds to create one investigation. Both those investigations are tied up so well, as two of our main characters don't even meet until the third act of the film. This is the film where I started paying attention to Jake Gyllenhaal. He's electric over here. He plays that Boy Scout figure and that obsessive personality so friggin' well. And part of it's because of the way he's built. He's just an outsider in the first two acts of the film, almost the first two acts of the film. His obsession is shown to us in a very similar way it was in Fight Club, when Jack is walking through his apartment and all the items he owns pop up with listings and names and all that stuff. We see Jake Gyllenhaal's Robert Graysmith almost phasing out in one scene, and we see a point of view shot of all the Zodiac letters and all of his puzzles in his head being projected onto the screen in front of us. Brilliant, brilliant stuff. The reason I love this film is the same reason I love any David Fincher film: atmosphere. This guy can do so much with just location and sound. The basement scene is one of the most terrifying scenes I've ever seen. The scene involves Robert Graysmith going to meet Bob Vaughn, as he's possibly a suspect to be the Zodiac. And I'm not going to indulge in the details as to why they're meeting, but I am going to tell you it is a brilliant piece of editing, sound design, and acting. I dare you to watch that scene and not feel queasy or have some hair stand up while you're watching it. The use of that single POV shot and that single close-up of Robert Graysmith really puts you in his shoes, and I felt his terror, man. And by doing that, David Fincher has created a more effective horror scene than you're gonna see in any horror films being played today. Long running times on each shot, elongated silence. You only see one of those mostly today in horror films, because horror films nowadays don't use long running time on their shots, and they don't use silence that much as well nowadays. This film showcases how an idea can destroy a person, and how it does to our protagonists in their personal and physical lives. This film is a very talky film. It's a talkathon. So how do you make something which is so broad, an idea such as that, translate into a visual medium? The cinematography of this film is very bland and dull. I'm not saying it's bad. I think that's a choice they made on purpose. The film is rather flat to give us this element of realism. There were moments in time where I didn't feel like I was watching a movie because of its almost mundane look. And I just want to say this, Robert Downey Jr. is stunning in this film. He pulls off a much better drunk performance in this film than he was supposed to be in Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 was supposed to focus on the alcoholism of Tony Stark. He does a better job in Zodiac than he does in that film. Stunning work by Downey and stunning work by everyone involved in this film. Zodiac is a masterpiece. I am giving this film a perfect score of 5 out of 5. If you haven't seen it, please go see it. As an added bonus, David Fincher is the only person to make this song I'm about to play utterly creepy. Hurdy-Gurdy Man by Donovan. Listen to that song after you're done with this film and tell me you weren't creeped out. As always, people, thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, hit that like button. But more importantly, hit that subscribe button. And even more importantly, tell me what you thought of Zodiac if you have seen it. And if you haven't seen it, go see it and then tell me what you thought of Zodiac, because it's one of my favorite films of all time. As usual, people, thank you for watching. And remember to love yourselves, and I will be seeing you again very soon.